Welcome to this podcast, Holistic Creators, where we share our unique and universal stories about shaping the future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. My name is Swanette. I'm a mental coach and your host of this show. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to a holistic future. So welcome. Hello and welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today my guest is Olga Geidane. She is a global speaker, mindset coach, digital nomad. With her husband, Manel Sanchez, she organizes and runs Stay Forever Together retreats for couples willing to reignite their relationship, passion, and trust. Today, Olga will share her wisdom and expertise on how changing your mindset can really change your life. So welcome to my show.
Oh, thank you, Swanette. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so looking forward to the next hour so we can bring more value to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really would like to understand a little bit of your background story. What made you passionate about this topic, working with couples that are perhaps in trouble or even in this part of divorce? So what is your passion and your story behind that?
Oh, Swanette, there is a story to that actually. And I'd like to start probably with something that is not very different to many other people, is my own dysfunctional family. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. My mom, she lost her first husband, my dad, before I was born. And then she got married to my first stepfather, who abused me when I was 11. Then she got married to another man because the second marriage was not working out. So as I was going as a child through all these situations of, different men in our families and also alcoholism and abuse and stuff like that, I just realized that that's not how I wanted. I did not know how I wanted when I grew up. I had no clue because I had no role model, but I knew one thing: this is not right. And then as I just started growing up, and what happened at the age of 13, I threw myself into personal development. That was my escapism. It was, something passionate to learn about, something to gather, to consume, just to have within me that would distract me from everything what was happening at home. Little did I know, it will turn me into a coach eventually, right? I had no clue. But what happened, that passion for learning and personal development helped me to actually start helping other people. And what did I realize? Every single time I would work with somebody, even back then, back 12 years ago, when I just started coaching, somebody would come to work with me on their confidence or on their career change, or they would want to work on just their persona, just the way they are. And ultimately, it will go back all the way back home. They will tell me one day, Olga, I know I came to work with you on X, Y, Z, but can we please work on my relationships as well? Because it's just not working out. And I realized there's a pattern. No matter what we are chasing in life, no matter what we want, the ultimate thing what we all want is to be loved and to be in happy, fulfilling relationships. Everything else is a bonus. And let's admit it, it's a nice bonus to have. Your success, your finances, your traveling, your house, it's a nice bonus to have. But the truth is, and after working with so many people who would call me and tell me, Olga, I've got it all that I ever wanted. Everything I ever wanted. But I have no one to share it with. So that's why my passion grew into my mission. And especially after me and my husband, we were literally on the verge of divorce because of our both past, because of everything would happen in our previous lives before. At some point of our relationship, it just hit us like a tsunami. We filed for divorce and we started really deep work on ourselves. And afterwards, when we did the deep work on ourselves and once we healed ourselves, that was this beautiful birth or something brand new, which was our brand new relationships. So being there on the verge of divorce and knowing that it is so easy just to go and divorce, but it's not so easy to find something so special what we had before. We just made the choice, we're going to stay together. And I would love to help so many other couples, and this is what we do together right now, that are on the verge of divorce or would love to understand their relationship better and just to understand why we're arguing so much, why we have no trust, why we have no intimacy, because we have been there before. And ultimately, let's admit it, When you have pure happiness in your relationships, it's like you have extra pair of wings behind your back. Everything is just so easy and effortless in your life when you're at home 100% happy. So that's why I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, we always say you can't buy love. No, it's no, yeah, you can't buy everything, but really deep relationship and love you can't buy with money. So of course you can invest in yourself with money to create that, but it's not, yeah, that you can buy sex, but you can't buy love. So this
No,
is really, yeah. And yeah, I want to go back a little bit, because
sure.
what I really find interesting is that we often see that people that have traumas in their childhood will continue with these kind of traumas. So what I see are these patterns and families that are giving over from one generation to the next one. And what you did is like, okay, you had this experience, and I'm really sorry to hear about that. And but you were kind of triggered by that at the same time to see, okay, how can I go out and starting with personal development and thinking about yourself at the age of 13 years. Wow, this is really amazing. Yeah. Can you remember what was kind of this trigger, or what really brought you into, okay, I have to work on myself? I know it's a long time ago, but can you remember what it was?
Of course, some stuff you never forget in life. Let's admit it. There are some things you will never forget no matter how many years pass by. And the biggest trigger of me throwing myself into personal development was actually me feeling suicidal. Because between 11 and 13, these 2 years were really challenging for me. That was sexual abuse. That was a little child, my fourth sister coming into a family. My mother gave it her to me, and she was like, that's it, now you look after her. So my childhood stopped right there. I couldn't go and spend time with my friends. I couldn't do anything for myself. It was just me and this baby now. And right now it sounds like a lot of blame and anger. It was. I was so angry, so disappointed. And of course, when I became a mother, I was very grateful because, oh my God, it was so easy for me to raise my own child, right? But back then, it was traumatic. Back then, I didn't have my own life and I couldn't verbalize what I want because I had this child to look after whilst my mom, she was busy. And because we grew up in a family with no money, she had, the gardens to look after. She had the animals to look after. We were self-sufficient family, like farmers, right? So she had all those things to look after, to provide for us. So I don't blame her now, but back then I was. But also because of our family situation, and me, and obviously the whole family, not just me, not being able to afford great things or brand new clothing. I was bullied a lot at school, not only because of the way how I looked, but also because of my height. I was very tall. I was the tallest girl in the class. Well, I'm 5'11" now. So you can imagine, right? And also I was the skinniest girl. So there was a lot of bullying. I was very shy. I was not outspoken. You wouldn't even hear when I would speak. Totally different to who I am now, right? So all of that together created such a turbulence in my mind that I felt suicidal. And one night, honestly, it makes me laugh when I go back to that memory because it's ridiculous how I decided to commit suicide. But at that moment, it was that serious. One night, I decided, this is it. I'm going to stop breathing. It's bizarre. I know it's bizarre. You don't commit suicide by stopping breathing because it's impossible. Your body will take over. But honestly, at that moment, it was that serious in my head. And then obviously when I wasn't able to do it because body doesn't let you just stop breathing, thankfully, next morning when I woke up, I just asked myself, really? Really? I will just finish my life when my mother, she was fighting for me to be born, because when she lost her first husband, my dad, before I was born, everybody was against me being born, everyone, including my own grandmother. And I asked myself, really? I just want to finish my life when my mom was fighting for me, when she wanted me to be here, when she did everything for me to be here, despite everyone was against me being born? No, there's something I have to do about it. And like sometimes there are coincidences in life, which are not even coincidences, right? That was a book on a table, which my sister brought from a library. And by the way, for those people who don't know what is a library, it's a YouTube back then. Right? Remember those days when you would go to the library, get a book, read the book for 2 weeks, and then you would return it. So that was the time when we would learn through libraries, not through YouTube. We haven't had YouTube back then. This is lucky days, really abundant days nowadays. And that book really changed my life. It was the pivotal book of my life. The name of the book, unfortunately, it's still not translated to English, but I will translate from Russian to English because my family native language is Russian. It is The Journey of a Ginger Donkey. And the picture on the hardcover of the book was a ginger donkey. So my sister thought that was a children's book, but it wasn't. It was a book for young adults and adults about how you can transform your life by transforming yourself. And this was it. And that book hooked me. After that, you name it, Dale Carnegie, How to Influence and Win People. You know, there were so many books which I was reading and absorbing from the age of 13. Napoleon Hill and many other authors, which are just phenomenal, right? And many people only find about them in their 30s and 40s and 50s. I was reading back then because I realized this is it. This is my life. And I cannot change other people around me. I cannot change those bullies at school. I cannot change what other people think of me, but I can change what's inside of me. And that was the moment which actually completely transformed my life. And of course, as a result, helps me right now to transform the lives of many other people.
Yeah, wow, what an amazing story. And no, there are no coincidences. This is really happening by synchronicity. Yeah, it was really the time for you to step into this awakening moment, so to say, that it's about you and that you get the power back on your life and not the victim of your life in this case. Yeah, so
absolutely.
And I can totally relate to that because I have been also kind of very special in the time I was a young girl. So it was not like that. My body was outstanding, but my energy was. So I had a near-death experience at the age of 8. And since then, I'm clairvoyant and precognitive. So I was always able to look beyond. And like you use your normal senses, it was for me, I could see even more. So even if people are not telling me something, I somehow knew it. And
wow.
yeah, so this was always like I was this strange girl. And so I had many moments that the children hit me, or one moment that they hold me and put me on a chair and painted something on my forehead with a waterproof pen. So these were moments when I really felt like, so I don't belong here. I don't belong to this people. I don't even belong to this planet. Yeah. And I had this feeling of I want to commit suicide with the age of 12. So this was the moment that I thought about that and had this, kind of awakening moment. On the one hand, I want to leave. On the other hand, I'm still here and I have to do something. I got curious about life and kind of, I spent a lot of time sitting in a library. So this is kind of, kind of not the same, but a story that also comes through my life. And so I'm always curious about people, why this happens. And when you looking back from where are you now and looking back into the past, this needs to happen in one way or another to create the person that you are now, to really not only teach from books, but because I see some people now, they have their education and they start teaching from there, but they don't have this kind of life experience, really going through this kind of situations and troubles and finding solutions so that they can really speak out of practice, so to say. Yeah. So, absolutely. So, the next step, I really want to understand a little bit more, like this moment when you figured out, okay, my relationship was once very good. We were in love and had amazing time together. And this is normally how relationships start. Like, no, we fell in love with each other and we have amazing time. And then somehow it's strange if people don't bring it to the next level and go deeper. But no, or like, have different interests, and they split up. So what was your situation that you figured out, okay, now we are not together anymore, but something is bringing out in different directions and perhaps will end up in a divorce? So do we have a little bit more explanation about that?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to, because I'm sure many people are in this situation. So what happened when we met and we started building our relationships, first of all, there was no intention for any of us to be in relationship with each other. We met and it was only for fun. It was just, just to spend time with somebody. This is it. We did not have intention to be together. And what happened, well, first of all, at that time of my life, at that stage of my life, I realized that the life that I was living before was not the life I want to continue. And that was in terms of relationships. I realized I don't want to be inauthentic in my relationship anymore. I don't want to be just partially in my relationship anymore. I was tired of changing my partners. I was tired of cheating. I was tired of lying in my relationships. And I realized that, Olga, your life is perfect at every other aspect, but in relationship area, you suck. It was a massive, massive disaster. And even though I had this massive passion for relationships, unfortunately, subconsciously, I was avoiding relationships. And that, remember what you said, the childhood trauma? That's exactly what was playing up with me. It was my childhood traumas, which I never healed, which were playing up with my relationship area. So what happened at that stage of my life, I was all in. I was, okay, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to understand myself. I'm going to dive deeper into my relationship area. So once I'm ready, I can meet the partner with whom we can spend a lifetime together. And even the thought of spending lifetime together with somebody was too scary for me. At that stage I was in my life, because it was just too much trauma, too many patterns, too many relationship blocks that were not letting me to even imagine me doing that. So as I was going through this process, I met my husband, now Manel. And of course, I have no intention for him to be my husband, but I'm going through my healing. So everything I realize and I recognize and I learn about myself, I share without intention to help him, without intention to fix him. Because before, Olga was a fixer. Because before, Olga was wearing the coaching hat in her relationship all the time, right? She was here to help. She was here to heal. She was here to coach. And here was, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this for me. Long story short, we connected at such deep level where I haven't been before. Of course we did, because I was never as open like I was with him, right? It was the first time in my life when I was as open. So we connected, our love started to develop. We realized, oh my God, we cannot actually imagine our lives without each other. And then he proposed me, we got married. And everybody would think we had a fairy tale. And that's exactly how it felt. It was a pure fairy tale. We never argued. We did not even have one argument. Can you believe it? It was perfect compartment. It was perfect compatibility. It was perfect union. It was perfect solution. It was perfect everything between us. We traveled a lot. We were working alongside each other. We were working separately. Everything was just perfect. We were best friends for each other. We were perfect partners. Intimacy was at the peak of our lives. We were just amazed how amazing the intimacy was, right? And you would think, wow, this does not exist. That's exactly how it sometimes felt. This does not exist. And then it hit. I found out my husband was cheating on me. And that was like out of the blue. It's like, oh my God, what do you mean? What's wrong? What have I done wrong? First reaction. Everybody else's first reaction. What have I done wrong? Maybe there was not enough intimacy. Oh my God, that was more than plenty, right? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe the polarity is wrong. Well, no, we both talk about polarity a lot. We know he's really strongly masculine and I'm strongly feminine. Of course, I go into masculine very often because when I work in my business, it's natural when a woman is working on her business to go into masculine mode. But we managed to learn how to help me to go into feminine mode. So what was wrong? What's wrong? And then after long discussions, we realized it was not something wrong with me, as a thought. It was his addiction. For his entire life, he was cheating. And here I was looking at my own mirror, because that's exactly what I was doing my entire life before. With the difference, when we met, I decided to stop, but he haven't made a decision, right? He haven't made a decision to heal himself because he hasn't had reached that point of pain. And we never change unless we are at the point of pain, right? Otherwise, we're just happy flowers. We enjoy our life. Everything is amazing. Why to change? And we can excuse any behavior. So my excuse to my cheating before was, oh, that's because my partners are not good enough. I was never looking in my own trauma. Oh, that's because my relationship is boring. Hello, girl. How about you connecting more and making that more passionate, right? Or there were many other reasons. The same for him. He had many other reasons why he was cheating, right? So what happened, we started this really deep journey of healing and understanding. And because to me, that was a mirror, I asked myself as a coach, okay, what happened, Olga? Which parts of you haven't healed? Which parts of you haven't worked on that you attracted somebody like him? And here's a takeaway for everybody. If you think somebody's doing wrong to you, no, they can do whatever what they want. I'm not going to swear here. I really wanted to put that F word there. I'm not going to say it. But it's up to you to attract these people or not to attract these people. And if you attract people that hurt you, that means for you, there is something to heal. So what happened? We started doing this deep journey and we thought we were doing fine, only to find out 5 months later, it kicked off again and his cheating became worse. And here I was literally thinking to myself, what's wrong? It was really so easy to walk away because obviously you don't want to be with a cheater. Even though I know he's my mirror, do I really want to constantly look into the own mirror? No, I don't. I had enough, right? And because cheating became so much worse, the hurt was unbearable. So what I realized, this is it. You are detaching yourself. And you're doing your own journey. You're going back to square one. You've done amazing work and therefore you attracted this beautiful relationship. But at the background, there's a program running that is ruining it. Program running in his mindset, a program running in my own mindset. And a long story short, because that was a very long and painful journey, but here's something we both realized. You attract perfect partner for you to heal your own childhood trauma. I did not realize until we went through a really deep journey. And let's admit that between both of us, we have done more than 250 hours of working with 10 different professionals. That's how much commitment we had because we were like, this is it. We're going to nail it. We had such perfect union, but then something kicks in and destroys us. No, we can't find it anywhere else. We never had it anywhere else. And in fact, after working with so many specialists who told us that in previous lives, we have been together and it's meant for us to be in this life together again. We were like, well, it's meant for a reason. What is the reason? We didn't know at the time that actually our reason of being together and working through our own mess, our own dirtiness, our own ugliness, our own disaster will lead us to help others. But of course, it's easy to read a book, as you said, and pass on the knowledge from the books. But how can you speak from your own experience if you haven't? How can you, which is my mission for years, reduce the divorce rate in the world if you never reduce your own, right? I never reduced my own divorce rate in my life. So how can it help others? And here we were. Long story short, my grandmother is the one whom I married in the face of Manel. Because she was the one who traumatized me to the extent I didn't even know about. And nobody knows about our own traumas. And in fact, very often you grew up in a very happy, from outside family thinking, oh no, I never had any trauma. But there is trauma. There is, because not always trauma is visible. And trauma doesn't mean you had to grow up on the street. Trauma doesn't mean you have to be abused by 15 different people. Trauma could be something said to you, something did, you observed something, and that could be your trauma. Observed trauma, not relieved trauma. So this is what happened. We just were going through really deep healing for my husband to understand that he had deeply enrooted, rusty patterns of 50 years. which were forcing him to go and cheat and lie, because that was his self-defense mechanism, right? We both were aiming and seeking love. That's why we were cheating as well, right? So this what happened. We just realized that who we were before not going to serve us, and we have to show up brand new, transparent, and totally naked, soul naked, not just body naked, but soul naked. And some people might think, well, Olga, you've done the wrong choice because, you know, if he cheated once and then twice and then many more times, he will cheat again. I've been there before. And I know that I was cheating because I had no loyalty. When you have no loyalty towards yourself, you will have no loyalty towards others. And once I raised my own loyalty towards myself, I changed for life. This is how I know my husband also changed for life. And since then, it's been a miracle and magic because we show up differently in our relationships. And it's been absolutely remarkable to live the life we live now, because what we had before was a fairy tale. But what we have now is something where we build together by working separately on ourselves. As I was working on myself, he was working on himself. We were able to marry these two new people so we can be together instead of working on this, because relationship is not something with a separate unit. You got to work on yourself separately. So what we have now is absolutely outstanding and remarkable. It's better than a fairy tale. Do we have difficult moments? Of course we have. I'll be lying if I would say we don't get triggered or we don't have moments. Of course we have, but we want to be authentic and real. You know what I mean? So I don't want to project that, oh, everything is perfect. We have our moments, but we have tools how to deal with those, because we also share the same tools with other couples. So this is what happened, and this is how we came out of that.
Yeah, wow. What an amazing story. And I think a lot of people who are now listening can relate to that. Even thinking about how did you grow up? Like when I look into my family, like my parents were, I would say, very good parents, as good as they could. But seeing them as a couple, this was totally dysfunctional. So we had, my parents had a company together, so they were always working. But at the same time, they were very different in their personality. So my father was very dominant and not really aggressive, but always arguing and had his opinion on things. And he was not able to connect. So he was very in the distance. And of course, I understand his childhood trauma. So this is absolutely clear where it comes from. But at the same time, of course, it was his behavior. He was not the one that was cuddling or loving. He did everything for us, no question. He would give his last, I don't know, T-shirt for us. But it was really, he was in a distance. And my mother was totally different. She was the one that was always loving and humorous and touched us and was understanding. So with everything that happened, I could go to her. So, but seeing them both together, my mother was longing for intimacy, for real love, for being touched. And my father was always in the distance and was arguing in it. Then when something happened, she just left and went into another room. So they didn't have any kind of pattern that were healthy for relationships. So for me, seeing that, I decided when I was 14 years old that I don't want to have children.
Wow.
It was very clear I don't want to bring myself children into this kind of relationship. So, and then going through my pattern of relationship, it also looks like you said, no, I'm in relationship out and in and out. And there was kind of one deep love, and this lasted for 1 year, and then we were separated, and I was so in pain, in heart pain, so that I decided, no, I will not love again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you're too afraid. You're too afraid. And it's interesting you're saying it was really numerous partners here and there, because the same was for me. My partner was 2 years. I would be in a relationship for maximum 2 years, which I was jokingly sometimes even saying, oh yeah, let's see if he will last for 2 years, without realizing this is the traumatic pattern. Because between some of my abuse and when my new stepfather came, it was exactly 2 years. And what I observed with my mother, it was transition. You never finish relationship and you stay single and you start a new one. It's a transition. As you're going through divorce, you start new relationships. So that became my story. 2 years and transition every single time. Right? So what was a surprise when we were approaching with my husband 2 years, this whole story came out. Of course, because I had to have perfect reason to finish 2-year-long relationship. So that's how deep these patterns are, right? And look what happened to you as well. It's remarkable. Wow.
Yeah, and I would really would understand a little bit more. How can people understand this kind of pattern? Because, as you said, often they are not visible, but they become visible as soon as you recognize them. So, can you give us a little bit of information about how people can get aware of their pattern?
Oh, I would love to. So what is a pattern? If you look at your footprints, there's a pattern, one foot after another. It's repetitive. There is no one step longer, another one is shorter, right? They're all identical, right? If you run, it's the same. You don't run differently first step to the fifth step, right? So your pattern runs the same way as your footprints, right? They are repetitive. And anything in your life you do more than twice is a pattern. And in fact, to build a new pattern, you got to adhere to something or you got to do something more than twice. This is it. This is programmed for you if you do something more than twice. Of course, the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. But here's the danger. You hear an advert more than twice, it programs you, all right? If you do an action more than twice, it programs you, and it's a danger. It can become a pattern. But how can you recognize current patterns? Just look to the past. Look what happens. Okay, analyze your all previous relationships, if it is about relationships. For how long do I stay with them? Okay, how do I finish those relationships? Because there's a pattern in how you escape your relationships as well, right? Okay, how do I start new relationships? That could be a pattern as well, right? Okay, so let's put this way, inside of the relationship. Okay, how do I live my life inside of my relationship? Okay, what is the pattern between me arguing, as you said, your parents would argue and they would go to separate rooms? That's a pattern, right? Instead of communicating, instead of discussing, instead of saying how can we eliminate arguments, that's exactly what we work with couples actually. How can you prevent an argument, right? What can we do next time not to get to the point of the argument, right? So anything you do all the time or frequently is a pattern. How can you start breaking? Difficult. I will be lying to you if I would say, oh, just easy, recognize and it'll be gone. No, I was fighting with my pattern. So once I recognized my 2-year pattern, which I was joking about for many years, and be careful, because maybe you are also joking about some of your patterns, right? Just start paying attention. So what happened? We had a dinner with my husband and I said to him, oh, it's so interesting how we are filing for divorce and it's not even 2 years. And this is when I clicked. I was like, oh my God, this pattern is here. And I was so naive thinking that my pattern will not impact my marriage because yeah, it could impact all previous relationships, but this is marriage. Why would it impact marriage? Guess what? Patterns don't care. They don't care if you have children. They don't care if you're married. They don't care if you have properties together, if you have businesses together. Your patterns, they're there to be alive no matter what. It's like a parasite. It wants to be the yes or yes. If it cannot live in this situation, it's going to live in another situation, but it will control you. So once I realized it, I was like, oh, I almost stopped breathing. That's how shocking to me it was to recognize it. Oh my God, my pattern obviously had to have somebody as perfectly perfect, my husband, with all his cheating, for me to make sure I follow my pattern, right? So imagine you are a slave to your pattern. I know it sounds very brutal and harsh, but we are enslaved to our patterns unless we choose to have new patterns. What did I decide to do? I was like, okay, for my life, for the entire life, my pattern was making me escape. So what I will do now, I will not escape. I'll be beating this pattern out of my system. This is what I said. And we agreed with my husband that we will put the final signature on our divorce papers after we hit 2 years. We're talking about 2-year-old relationship, right? It's like so fresh. And he was like, Olga, but that's very selfish. You know, why would be, if you don't want to be with me anymore, then why would you stick with me for so long until your, 2 years pattern will hit and after? I said, because I want to get my pattern out. I don't want to start another relationship and then practice my new pattern. No, this is ruined. This is destroyed. This is going to the nowhere, right? So let's practice on this one. And I said, if you talk to me selfish, look at your behavior, right? So we agreed that, hey, it's not going to be selfish for anyone. It just will help both of us as we go through the healing. For me, not to escape relationships, because again, divorce was escape, right? So here I was, every single time we would have an argument, and honestly, we went from no arguing at all, zero, nada, not even increasing voice once. There was perfect harmony, to arguing every single day. Toxic relationships. And what happened every single time, it's so funny. If somebody would record me, I wish somebody would record me, because I probably would play back and everybody would laugh. So we would argue. I remember one situation. He showed me something. It was another conversation with somebody, and we were sitting on the bed on his laptop, and he showed it to me. And my first reaction pattern was to stand up, and I went all the way to the suitcase, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to pack my stuff and I will leave. Pattern, pack and leave every single time. And I remember as I walked towards the suitcase, we're talking seconds, right? But of course, in my mind, it's like years passing by. I'm like, oh my God, I'm again allowing pattern to control me. As I approached the suitcase, I told myself, no, I'm going to get you out of my system. And I came towards the suitcase. My husband stood up and he looks at me like, what am I going to do? And of course, his pattern was to allow partners to leave. Amazing how our partners just matched, right? My partner is to pack and leave. His partner is to allow them to leave all the time. They will go and I'll find another partner. And then I will let them go and I'll find another partner. Perfect match of not only us, but also patterns. As I approached suitcase, I said to myself, instead of packing and leaving, I will unpack. Because in my suitcase, there was still some stuff. We just arrived to Gran Canaria at the time. There was still some stuff. So I walked to the suitcase, picked a dress, went to the wardrobe, put it on a hanger, went back to the suitcase, all happy inside of me, knowing right now I am changing my pattern. Right now, I am taking over my pattern. Right now, I am in charge. And my husband, he stands with his arms like that, like, what are you doing? And I said to him, turned around to him, being so happy, suddenly from being angry to mega happy. And I said, oh my God, I just realized I am able to stop my pattern. Can you believe it? And I'm so excited. And he looks at me like, and what about us? And I said, I don't even know what about us. It's about my pattern. I am healing my pattern. That means my next relationship, I will be not controlled by a pattern. And I remember him being very shocked. And he said, and I'm still following my old pattern, right? I said, yes, you are. Because it was also about him lying. Because he's one of the patterns he had was lying. And that was, again, because of his childhood trauma. And when he realized, I'm right now, as we speak, fighting my pattern, and I'm doing my best, he stood there and he said, okay, I think I need to tell you a lot more things, because I also want to get rid of my pattern of lying. And this is what happens when you in your relationship are working on yourself and you show the result of you working on yourself, you will inspire your pattern, your partner. Sorry, they're so similar, pattern and partner, right? But you will inspire your husband and your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, because they will see change in you and they will think, what about me? Am I not capable of doing that? Am I not capable of recognizing my patterns and my behavior? I am, and they will do it. But you got to always prioritize working on yourself. You cannot change your pattern. Your partner, You cannot change your relationship, but you can change yourself. And when you change yourself, then you will impact your relationship and you will impact your partner, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is. And that's how powerful it is. So it's not easy to remove patterns because they're there and they want to stay there. They don't want to leave. But the more you practice totally opposite behavior, the quicker you get through. And surprise, surprise, it's been more than 2 years and no more patterns.
Yeah, wow. And this is so interesting that you say, yeah, you have to work on yourself and you can't change your partner, because I think this is something like, I think the English word is mobile, that, yeah, when you change this part, the others have to move as well. So they become aware, like your partner will become aware, so she's different somehow, and tries to understand perhaps what is going on, because this will have the impact on him as well. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's clear you can't change anybody else, but you can change yourself, and therefore you will create this kind of ripple effect, and that will have an impact on the others. And yeah, either it can be that they leave because now you're different, but at the same time it can be that they are attracted and feel, okay, there's something going on with her. Let's see what does this mean for me as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, you got to remember that sometimes people meet for a reason, for you to give you a little kick to change. And the mission was just that. The purpose of them coming into your life was just that, to help you change. And that's okay, because guess what? The universe has somebody better for you around the corner, right? But if you feel and see and know that the partner next to you right now is the best, I mean, everything is just so ultimately great, are parts of something what is wrong, then of course you can be together forever, right? So obviously it's a choice. It's always a choice. And it doesn't mean that if somebody left you and that now you cannot be together, you can. And I work with couples who divorced and they remarried again. Right? So things happen, miracles happen, but it's always and always working on yourself first. It's always your deep work that actually will prepare the landing space for another person to land beautifully and elegantly. But if you don't create this landing space, and let's imagine this person walked away and they worked on themselves and they want to come back to you, but you haven't done your inner work, how are you going to meet them? Being an angry person? They're not going to stay with you. Right? So you got to really do your inner work first. This what should be your priority.
Yeah, and this is so true. And I can see this in my own life as well. As I told you, I was kind of, yeah, driving, putting myself away from love. And I really had this, I call it a heart wall around my heart, because it was really high and thick, so nobody can come through. And I had these beliefs about, no, I don't want to have children. I don't want to be in a deep relationship because this hurts and this doesn't work out. So a lot of beliefs about relationships, and yeah, so this was really like, no, it will not work out for me. I'm happy to go in and out relationships, but they never will be so deep. And then I started working on this topic as well, and I met a man, and it was like, wow, super attractive. And you said, like, no, you have this feeling you met before. And for me, it was like, I can read the Akashic records. It was immediately, I could see him standing in the fire. So this was the first picture I could see. And it was like, wow, this is strange. And he told me, so this was also strange for him, because he could see me standing outside him being in the fire. So he's kind of a wizard as well. And
I have goosebumps right now, literally goosebumps all over. Wow.
Yeah. So this was really like super strange, because we met in a business environment. It was not, we were not talking about private things. So, and for me, this was the moment, okay, I can feel this deep, intense feelings again. Yeah. And so we had some time together being friends, not intimacy, but really having deep moments together, speaking about things. And I use this time for clearing out my old stuff in this present time, looking what came from my ancestral line, but also what was still in my Akashic records, because there have been a lot of traumas as well that still had the energy cord to this present time. So this was not meant to be a relationship, a love relationship in this sense of being a couple, but it was meant to walk the way together for a time to heal us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And here's the thing, he beautifully appeared in your life. And surely you were knowing each other before in previous lives, surely, because here's the thing, whether people believe in that or not, that's their own decision, right? But I strongly believe we go through lives together with a bunch of people around us, and we just change roles, right? Somebody who was a husband becomes a brother or a mother or father or something else, but we all go through lifetimes together, right? And we heal ourselves, and the more we heal ourselves, the better our next lifetime will be, right? Because we had exactly the same thing. Here's the interesting thing. When we met, it was like, where have you been? Literally, when we met, it was in the darkness at the car park. It was late, but the meeting was like, hi, yeah, okay, so let's go for dinner. Everything was just so spot on. Like we literally said goodbye to each other yesterday, right? And then when more and more people were telling us, did you know you were together in previous lives? Did you know you were working alongside together in previous lives? Did you know you were healing people together in previous lives? It was becoming more and more obvious until we met one person who actually said to us that we have a mission in this life. And that was the very early stage of our relationship. I remember looking at us like, oh my God, everybody tells us we have been together, but nobody so far said we have a mission. And when she said, like, there's a mission you have to do in this life, something for you to do together because you haven't completed it in the previous lives. We're thinking, we wonder what it could be. Now we know what it was. Now we know what she was meaning at the time. But at that stage, we were not aware because we were not even close to that mission, because we were still in this fairy tale, everything is amazing and stuff like that situation, you know. But that's why it's important to remember that whatever you want in life, you will always get it. Not always in the way how you think you will get it. My mission was always to reduce the divorce rate in the world. It was just inside of me, even though I was failing relationships and I could get prize for being the best failure in relationships, right? My mission was also to help couples to overcome their challenges, right? This is what I always wanted to do. And I always wanted to be a power couple. And here I was avoiding relationships. So it will be easier for universe to give me a book, and I would read the book and I would deliver content to people, right? And I would call myself a power couple. But power couple is not somebody who just had a fairy tale story, right? A power couple is somebody that actually overcame some challenges, and they stay strong, and they're there as a massive rock and support for each other, right? So little did I know that what I always wanted will come in one package with my husband through the most difficult and challenging times of our lives, right? If I would know that, let's be honest, would I do it again? I would. Because even though it was challenging, even though it was heartbreaking, even though it was difficult, even though sometimes I wished I would never even meet him, right now, the impact we are creating is priceless. And my dream came true. So let's be careful what we ask for, because guess what? You always receive, just not in the way you want it. It's not like a book delivered through Amazon. It's not the way how we get it.
No, sometimes the universe has different ideas about how you learn and what will be delivered as experiences. Absolutely. Yeah. So let us know a little bit more now. What are you doing together as this power couple for other couples?
Oh my God, it's very exciting. So what we do together, because of course we still continue our own individual work. He's working primarily with youth and I'm working with adults on their mindset. So what we do together is organizing these Stay Forever Together retreats, which are online and also in person, where couples can come and they, within 5 very, very intense days. I'm not talking about we're going to wake up and we're going to meditate for 5 hours. It's not that. I love meditation. I love doing that. But we'll be doing intense mindset work. We'll be stripping down all your previous relationships, your blueprints. We'll be stripping down your traumas. We'll be practicing love languages, practicing human needs, learning more about attachment styles and how attachment styles are impacting your relationships. There'll be very, very intense 5 days, whether it is online or in person. It's the same program, obviously with little tweaks, because in person it's different, of course, but we do it so we can reach more hearts and more couples. And what happens after 5 days of you writing in your workbook, because each of you will receive a workbook, you also will receive a little present that actually will be reminding you of everything that you learned, and that will be visible. It'll be visible for you, because you know what happens? You go to a seminar, you go to a workshop, you make your notes in a book, you put your book on a shelf, and you start building a shelf development, right? Because nothing is visible in front of you, right? Nothing is there to remind you the most important parts. But we actually developed something what we give as a gift, which we want to be a surprise. That's why I'm not saying what it is, that actually will be with the couple visible for them about the most important parts of the seminar. And whenever they are arguing, or whenever they feel there's a bit of tension or something is not gelling, they can just look at that and just see, it could be this. Let's dive into that. They don't have to go through the entire workbook, right? So what happens at the end of that, couples come out reconnected and rejuvenated because they learn more about themselves. That's our primary focus there. As we work on your relationships, yes, we do, but we actually work on you. We learn more about you. So when you learn more about yourself, now you understand yourself better. And of course, you will learn about your partner. You will understand your partner better. And then you marry these two together. And this is beautiful, because what happens as a result, couples not only feel more relaxed, because if they go to, let's say, meditation retreats, they meditated for long enough to feel relaxed, right? Or they go to yoga retreat, or now they feel flexible enough, right? No, it's all about the knowledge, the practical tools and tips and hacks, how can actually tackle your future situations in your relationships. And what we do, we sign contracts. We really sign contracts. So first we start with 5-day contract for these days, right? So during these 5 days, you don't go into the past. You park your relationship before you enter this retreat. This is it, right? Or before you enter the Zoom call, okay? This is it. You park, you don't go to the past. And there's some other rules as well in the contract. Then they sign 14 days contract on the last day with us, because this is for them to come up with new rules and new agreements. But on day 14, we will be sending them another contract, because it's about now reviewing what worked, what didn't work. There is nothing in life when you set up something and lasts forever. The one thing that lasts forever is a change. And you got to adapt to a change, and you got to learn how to work around the change. So as we go through that, then they sign 30 days contract, then they sign 90 days contract, and then there's 1-year contract. Why? Because we want them to be aware that things can change between themselves. Some new situations will come up, with some new things will appear, and it's about dealing with them and agreeing on things, right? So it really is transformational, and the best part, as feedback we're receiving, and just we know it by ourselves, the best part of this, of them attending actually relationship retreat with us, it's not just them changing. It is them changing their families, their children. It's a ripple effect. It's a domino effect. It's the family members, brothers and sisters, seeing them thinking, wow, guys, what changed? Like, you are so much more in love right now. Like, you are so spicy. What happened, right? And them sharing with their siblings or with their family members, with their friends, what exactly they learned, and sharing this beautiful, beautiful knowledge of how to be in the better relationships through their community. And this is the only way how actually we can create healthier society, because the more healthier we are at home, the better society we create. We cannot enforce it, but we can choose it. So when somebody as a couple are choosing to come to this retreat, whether it is virtual or in person, they're not only helping themselves, they are contributing towards healthier society, healthier neighborhood, healthier world. That's how big mission it is.
Wow, this is so amazing. And I'm sure people are now interested. where is this in-person retreat? When will it happen? How can they join your online retreat? Where can they reach out to you? Where are you to find?
Absolutely. So the very first upcoming retreat, which they can actually sign up still for, it is in May. It's going to be in Gran Canaria, Spain. So if somebody hasn't been to Gran Canaria yet, this is your time to come. And in fact, the place where it's going to happen is called Santa Catalina. And what I will do, I will send you the date. So actually you can maybe post it below, and also it will be available on the website, stayforevertogether.com. But this Santa Catalina hotel, actually, it is the best hotel in Europe. It's 5-star hotel. It has the pool on the top. It is an amazing surroundings with the best food for sure. Honestly, because we travel with my husband so much worldwide, we always compare all our food to Santa Catalina. Believe me or not, still, Santa Catalina breakfast is better, no? Yeah, it is, right? It will be total serenity. It will be total, it's almost like you're in the middle of Gran Canaria in Las Palmas, but you don't even feel it because you are in this beautiful hotel, which is not far from the beach. You can even go there. And people will have free time, of course, in the evenings to do whatever they want to do. But we're going to be doing the events between 8:30 in the morning, 9 / depends what day, even 10, if it is a weekend, until 6 o'clock in the evening. So they will have a free time for themselves. But answering your question, the first available, which they can still book themselves for, it is in May in Gran Canaria. It is European retreat. And then the first available online, it's going to be in March. So the first available, which obviously they can still book themselves for. And then also there'll be more coming up, but obviously that's for later if they will need to find. There'll be one in UK as well. There'll be another one also in Belize. So they're in different locations, but these are the two which they can obviously sign up for and get themselves as soon as possible rather later, because why to wait? Come on, do it as soon as possible.
Yeah, wow. So I will put the links in the show note so that people can easily reach out to you. And I hopefully see you one day here in Madeira on this beautiful island in an amazing hotel to do the retreat as well, because I think we need a lot of these retreats. And yeah, not only, as you said, healing the couples, but really healing society and the relationship we have with each other. So this is an amazing work and such an important work as well. So, yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to actually do it as well in Madeira. We were speaking actually after our conversation. We were speaking with my husband about it, and particular as well because next year we're actually launching the events like that for individuals. Because one thing when a couple wants to work on themselves, but what if you're a single person and you really would love to come to a relationship retreat, but it's a couples retreat? And you don't want to be like an odd one, like everybody's a couple, you by yourself. So we are specifically next year, it's going to be in April in Gran Canaria again, but in different hotel. So people can go out and meet other people because they're single, right? It's going to be right on the beach, actually. It's going to be for single people if they would like to come and join us. And big news, and I think it's really worth to actually drop it now. 2 years later, we are joining powers together to actually deliver this content of how to build healthy relationship and about well-being for youth. So for young people from 18 to 30, to help them to actually learn and build themselves and their future relationships in the future. So yeah, we have many things which are upcoming, but really looking forward to all of them. And yes, let's continue conversation about Madeira because we are really excited about that.
Great. So last but not least, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to share?
Oh, anything that you didn't ask me that I would like to share? Well, probably maybe is a little takeaway to everybody, something that we both learned and we still go through that every single time, remind ourselves the same thing, is how can we probably recognize when we have to work on ourselves or what to work on ourselves, right? Watch out your emotions. Whenever you are triggered, whenever you experience a reaction within yourself, which is really strong, that is an indication for you to heal something. That is an indication for you to work on something, right? It's very easy to go to a professional and say, oh, I would like to work on X, Y, Z, if you know what it is. But very often you don't even know. And I would strongly suggest go and work with a professional. But very often you don't even know if you need to work on something because you're not even aware of that. So for you to bring awareness, what exactly needs to be healed, pay attention to your emotions. Your triggers is a clue, right? They are the clue of what you have to work on, right? Because the minute you will heal the boy or a girl within yourself, the man and the woman will show up. But you got to really help that little boy and that little girl within yourself to heal so they can show up gracefully and powerfully in the world of your own relationship and in the world of the society. So I would like just to share that because I know that very often people think maybe they need some work, maybe they don't. Pay attention to your emotions. Your emotions will tell you what exactly you have to work on.
Yeah, this is such an amazing last word. Pay attention to your emotion. And thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and also sharing your personal story and being so vulnerable to share what is happening, had happened to you. So thank you so much for being my guest. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me. And I really appreciate you recognizing me for being vulnerable. It's not something that was very easy for me to do in the past. And with this, I just would like to share with everybody that if you don't know how to share, if you don't know how to be vulnerable, look at me now. I shared completely transparently everything that I would never even imagine sharing before. Right? It just means if I was able to go from somebody who was perfect, right? And I was always living perfect life, showing perfect face, and nothing ever happened to Olga, to be so vulnerable, transparent, open, you can do the same. And this one people really connect through vulnerability, not through your perfection. Perfection is a killer of connection. Just remember that. But thank you so much, Swanette. It was amazing to be here and share this space with you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening or watching my podcast, Holistic Creators. If you want to know more about how I can help and support you, have a look at my website, spiritualchangemaker.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Spiritual Changemakers Community. Stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. And you also can check the previous